Alright, in this video we are going to be estimating products to the nearest tens. Estimating products to the nearest tens. And so when we do this, we are going to round to the nearest tens, and then we will multiply. So let's get to it. Number 1, 929 times 93. Alright, so I'm rounding to the tens place. Now we'll be rounding to the tens place on all of these problems. So we'll just start here. My 2 is in the tens place. So I'm going to draw an arrow and circle my 9, because that's the number I'm looking at to see whether I go up or whether I leave it alone. And if it helps you, just remember 5 or more. We're going to go up. 4 or less. We're just going to leave it the same. We're just going to leave it equal to whatever it is. We're going to let it rest. Okay? So in this particular situation, my 9 is greater than 5. So I'm going to raise my 2 to a 3, and my 929, I round to 930. Okay, still multiplying, so I'm going to put my multiplication symbol here. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my 93. I'm going to look at my 9 because it's in the tens place, and that's what we're rounding to. Draw an arrow to my 3. Then I'm going to circle my 3 because that's the number I'm looking at. 3 is 4 or less, so I'm going to leave my 9 alone. I'm going to let it rest. And so my 93 rounds to a 90. Now the other thing that's circling the number to the right of whatever I'm rounding to, the other thing that helps me to remember is that everything to the right of that number is going to become a 0. Now, for this activity, it's just this one number. But if we had a decimal after this, and 2 or 3 or 4 or 400 decimal places, all those decimal places would become zeros. Okay, and now I need to multiply. And I'm actually going to set up the problem again so that we can see it. So 930 times 90. Now since I'm multiplying by 90 and I've got a 0 here, I could, if I wanted to, go ahead and multiply by the 0 and go 0 times 0 is 0, and 0 times 3 is 0, and 0 times 9 is 0, and go through that whole process, but really, this is nothing. So if it helps you to do this right now, you're okay to continue to do that, but just know that you don't have to. Once you understand, hey, I'm multiplying by 90 here, and so I've got to put my placeholder down, and then I can just rock and roll. Then you don't necessarily have to do this first step. But if you're new to 3-digit by 2-digit multiplication, it's okay to continue to do this for right now. Just know that you're going to be adding whatever is on your second partial product down here. You're just going to be adding that to literally nothing. And so if we're adding it to 0, then we're going to get we're going to get whatever that is as our answer. So this eventually we can do away with. We don't have to continue to do this. But if you're comfortable right now doing it, go ahead and continue to do it right now. All right. So we've got our placeholder here because we're multiplying by 90. So then I'm going to go 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 3 is 27. Carry my 2. 9 times 9 is 81. Plus 2 gives me 83. And so I end up with, and I'm out of room on my whiteboard here, but really, this is going to be my final answer, 83,700. Okay. Now if you just really, really, really want to add it up, you can. Just out of room down here. Alright. Let's go on to number 2. Alright, so number 2, we have 743 times 26. And once again, I'm rounding to the tens. So I'm going to underline the place that I'm rounding. Draw my arrow to the place to the right and circle. And my 3 is 4 or less, so I'm going to let it rest. I'm going to keep the 4 equal to what it is. I'm just going to leave it alone. And so my 743 rounds to 740. Okay. I'm going to round my second number. Rounding to the tens again, so I'm going to underline my 2 because it's in the tens place. Circle my 6 because that's the number I'm going to look to see what I'm supposed to do with my 2 here. So since 6 is 5 or more, I'm going to go up, I'm going to raise the score, and so my 2 will become a 3, and my 26 rounds to 30. 740 times 30. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to do 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 4 is 0, 0 times 7 is 0. I'm going to continue to do that with these practice problems because I know a lot of you are still doing it. And this is just a good reminder of our process for 3-digit by 2-digit multiplication. So I'm going to continue to do that even though we already said we don't really have to. And if you feel comfortable enough that you don't feel the need to do it, then it's okay not to. But I'm going to go ahead and go through that process. So again, 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 4 is 0, 0 times 7 is 0. Then I'm going to put my placeholder. Then 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 4 is 12. Carry my 1. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry my 1 is 22. Again, I'm almost out of room here, but I did a little better this time. A little room at the bottom. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 all by itself. Another 2 all by itself. And so I end up with 22,200 as my final answer. Again, the reason that we round and we estimate is to make our math computations easier. It is much easier to multiply by zeros, as we have seen in this problem right here. Still have to do a little bit of computation, but a lot less, because we've got those zeros in there. Okay. Go on to number 3. So number 3 is going to be 864 times 57. And once again, I'm rounding to the tens place. I'm going to underline my 6 that's in the tens. Draw an arrow to my ones place, to my 4, because that's what I'm looking at. So I'm going to circle it. My 4 is 4 or less, so I'm going to let it rest. I'm going to let my 6 rest. I'm not going to do anything with it, and I'm just going to rewrite 86. Since I let this rest, my 864 rounds to 860. Once again, rounding to the tens place. Looking back to the right to see what I need to do. My 7 is 5 or more, so I'm going to raise it. I'm going to raise my 5. I'm going to raise the score. And my 5 becomes a 6. And my 57 rounds to 60. Multiply 860 times 60. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 6 is 0. 0 times 8 is 0. Put my placeholder down. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 6 is 36. Carrying my 3. 6 times 8 is 54, plus 3 is 57. How about 48? That's what happens when Mr. Beckwith gets up too early in the morning. Let's try that again. How about 6 times 6 is 36, carry my 3. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 1 is 51. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 6 plus 0 is 6. A 1 all by itself. My 5 all by itself. And so I end up with 51,600. Alright, since I messed up on that last one there at the end, let's do one more. Give you a freebie. So let's look at number 4, which is 193 times 12. Now, if you're feeling pretty good right now, this is what I would suggest. Pause the video right here and do the problem, and then come back and check and see if you did it correctly. Okay, if you're still confused, then you can go back and restart. But go ahead and pause right here. Try to do the problem on your own, because this one's pretty simple. Okay, hopefully you tried to do it on your own. So I'm going to go a little bit quicker this time. So again, rounding to the tens place. So I'm going to underline my 9 because it's in the tens place. Look to the right to see what I need to do. The 3 is 4 or less, so I'm going to let it rest. So my 193 rounds to 190. Look at my 12. Again, I'm rounding to the tens place, so I'm going to underline my 1 because it's in the tens place. Looking to the right at my 2, which is in the ones place. I'm going to circle it just to see what I need to do. The 2 is 4 or less, so I'm going to let it rest. I'm going to leave my 1 alone. So my 12 rounds to 10, and then I get 190 times 10. Now many of you know that if you get anything times 10, you're just going to add a 0 on the end. So we know that 190 times 10 equals 1,900. But let's go ahead and go through this process just to review 3-digit by 2-digit multiplication. So 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 9 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. Put my 0 placeholder in. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 1 is 1. And Mr. Beckwith is just doing a bang-up job. Really? 0 times 1 is 1? Come on, Mr. Beckwith, you can do better than that. So, I end up with